The painting we have before us is done by Georges Braque. He was born in 1883 in France. His father was a house painter and decorator, so he grew up with a brush in his hand, so to speak. He liked painting from the time he was a little boy, and he did a lot of it. He attended art classes every chance he got in France, and they moved to Le Havre, which is a different part of France than where he was born. And there he set up and did more classes and some lectures that allowed him to learn as well as for him to teach. In 1902 to 1904, Mr. Braque studied at an academy in Paris, and he became acquainted with artists. One was Francis Pablica, and the other was Marie Lejeune. And he became entranced with the way that they were painting. He began as an impressionist. And as he evolved a little more and he became more acquainted with other artists, which was something that artists did in that day and time, they used in loop for each other, they kind of copied one another. And he became entranced with Pablo Picasso, and they became very good friends. So they kind of, it was a funny story that they kind of stole each other's techniques just a little bit. So that in the interim, they became kind of like alike, and it was very difficult for you to tell which was which. So they changed a little bit. He became also interested in the Fauvism. Fauvism is a method by which it brings out color, it brings out bold lines, it brings out the subject, and the background is more muted. Fauvism was very famous, and a lot of our artists that we had did do this technique. In talking and being with Pablo Picasso, they also talked about the Cubism. Cubism was where the block was made and the painting was brought out in that way. The methods were different but alike, if you can imagine. In 1909, Georges Braque began his work closely with other artists, and he did his first solo painting in 1909. Besides paintings, he also did sculptures and he also did etchings. This painting actually is a lithograph. It is not just a painting, it is a lithograph, whereby it's a method that's very intricate and takes a lot. Each part of the photograph, or of the picture, has to be blocked in stone, and that stone has to be made a certain color, and they cannot use the same stone for another part. Everything has to be done separately. So a lithograph was the newest thing, and he did a lot of them. The teapot and the lemons, I think, gives you a good idea of how all of these methods were used at one time. You know, there's a little bit of the softness of the Impressionism with the browns and the grays. And then, of course, you have your lines, which are your Fauvism, and that brings everything to you and very brightly. And then you have the Cubism, which keeps it all in line. He was very famous for this. A lot of the artists were and used each other's methods.